It finally happened. We're 25% into the season. Steve Kerr continues to do insane things. It doesn't matter that he won the previous game, going to bigger lineups, starting Quinton Post, all these things. He just goes right back to doing some complete and utter BS, goes to Draymond at the center spot, goes to tiny lineups. The Warriors can't rebound to save their lives, and they give up 25 offensive rebounds to a Rockets team missing Kevin Durant and Steven Adams. They're missing Steven Adams and Kevin Durant, 2 7-footers, and the Warriors still gave up 25 offensive rebounds to the Rockets. The Warriors should have easily been able to take care of the Rockets by 20 plus points. Instead, they're in a desperate clutch situation against the Rockets, going small the entire fourth quarter, taxing the crap out of all of their players. Steph Curry is struggling in the game, and he's trying so hard defensively to try to get a stop, and then his knee ends up running into Sengun, and then he takes a ridiculous hit from Amen Thompson, clearly an offensive foul, but the NBA is rigged. The NBA Cup is rigged specifically against the Warriors. Anytime the Warriors are in a cup game, they are screwed by the refs every single time without fail. So once again, Steph Curry has to deal with the fact that he is playing 5-on-9 against the Rockets, 3 refs, and Steve Kerr. 5 against 9. But more importantly, Curry had to leave this game. He couldn't even finish this game because he was injured. As a matter of fact, he was too injured to even take a seat in a timeout situation, and he had to go straight back to the locker room. I would like all of you guys to take a moment of silence and just pray that Steph Curry is okay and this is not a serious injury, because the way he was limping, it was not looking good. I'm just praying that it is a Charlie horse, and it is a pretty good Charlie horse, you know, like a relevant bone bruise, and nothing that structurally compromises Steph Curry's knee in any kind of way. Appreciate you guys being here. If you like the content so far, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and the like button so that this video gets out to all the Warriors fans out there. We will go over some stuff, but we have to get this out of the way. Steve Kerr is an absolute abomination to the game of basketball, and he is hurting every single career on the Warriors. He's compromising the reputation of every player on this team. He's affecting their reputation by constantly losing games that they should be winning. He's compromising the reputation of just about everybody on this team by putting players out of position, putting them in position to fail, sub-optimizing them, and forcing them to be better than they're capable of being. You know, I found an incredible stat earlier today. I was looking at the defensive rating of Quinton Post, and it turns out Quinton Post's defensive rating is top 10 in the entire NBA. There are 7 guys that are in the top 10 for OKC, which is absolutely ridiculous, and gives you an idea as to why that team only has 1 loss through 25% of the season. But in that top 10 is Quinton Post. That's how good Post has been for this team. He is one of the most valuable players, indispensable players for the Warriors this season, and his reward once again after another successful start, basically leading the team in plus minus. He was a plus 27 in the last game as a starter, and in this game he was benched again for Draymond Green at the center spot to run a small lineup, and these small units had given up 19 offensive rebounds through 2.5 quarters of this game. Clint Capella alone has 8 offensive rebounds. The Warriors ended up losing this game by 4 points. God knows how many points were given up when they gave up 25 offensive rebounds to the Rockets. That's 25 extra possessions that the Rockets got because the Warriors were too small and were not able to rebound the ball the way they should be able to if they simply had more size on the floor, which they could if they just put bigger players on the floor. But once again, it does not matter that Quinton Post has the 10th best defensive rating in the entire league. It doesn't matter that Post leads the entire team in plus minus over Draymond Green even. Nope, Steve Kerr does not want to reward great plays from his players. He just wants to do whatever it is that he feels like doing, no matter whether it's detrimental to his own team or not, because all he cares about is himself. He is a narcissist. He is vile. He is an abomination of a coach, and he is and has been the worst coach in the NBA since he lost Mike Brown after the championship year. The last 4 years have been an utter disaster for the Warriors because of the broken fundamentals of Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr doesn't even understand the basic fundamentals of the game of basketball. He thinks the game of basketball is still basically positionless, and it is shown in all the ridiculous, disgusting, compromising lineups that he throws out there every single game, game in, game out, without fail. And the Warriors have to keep having to overcome these handicaps. So it doesn't matter that they have a generational player in Steph Curry. It doesn't matter that they have a franchise caliber player in Jimmy Butler. It doesn't matter that they have an all-time defensive power forward in Draymond Green, because he's always being put in the wrong position anyway. It doesn't matter that they suddenly have one of the best defensive centers in the entire league, because it's like, oh, Quinton Post is looking so good defensively for this team. Well, let's see about that by putting him in a 4-guard lineup where there is no other rebounder next to him. All he has next to him is a bunch of guards who get blown by all the time, left and right, and it doesn't matter that Potts is getting blown by over and over and over again. It doesn't matter that Buddy Hield is getting blown by over and over and over again. It doesn't matter that all these players are just getting blown by, blown by, blown by. And essentially, there is no defense behind them. Even if Post is there to try to help his teammates, there is nobody else behind him that is capable of rebounding once Quinton Post slides over to help a teammate out. And it doesn't matter that Trayce Jackson-Davis is available to them on their bench so that they can go bigger and so that they can do a better job on the glass. He's just rotting on the bench while these tiny lineups are suffering against the Rockets. Again, a depleted Rockets team missing 2 key fundamental players. The Rockets shot 39 from the field, 28 from the three-point line, and 63% from the free throw line. There's no way that this team should have been able to beat the Warriors tonight. But once again, this is what Steve Kerr does. Anytime the other team is missing key players or their best player, Kerr will constantly throw out lineups and compromising his own team's ability to defend these teams, and he will magically find a way to lose a game that he absolutely should not be losing. And again, even if the smaller lineups do a good job, it is still compromising the team because you're taxing the smaller players. These guys are older. Draymond is 35, Jimmy Butler is 36, Steph Curry is 37. These guys should not be playing in small lineups all day and night while they have to play extra hard just to compensate for their smallness. And all that extra compensating, all those offensive rebounds given up, all those multiple defensive possessions that they have to play over and over again because Steve Kerr keeps putting out these lineups. And these guys are exhausted. And like I said to begin this video, Steph Curry is now injured. It's such an utter shame that people cannot correlate these things together in terms of why this ends up happening. I say Steve Kerr's actions ultimately led to a Steph Curry injury in this game. And I just explained to you why. But there's going to be people talking about, oh, it must have been Steve Kerr who made Steph Curry run into Alperen Sengun's leg. Oh, it must have been Steve Kerr's fault that Amen Thompson ran through Steph Curry. No, you brain dead imbecile. Steph Curry wouldn't have been in that position in the first place, playing his heart out, trying to make a desperate comeback, playing desperate basketball, if Steve Kerr didn't put out all these lineups throughout the course of the game that put the team in this position. Sometimes I'm just floored by the lowest level of IQ from some of the people in this fan base. I usually don't go at people outside of Steve Kerr and the Warriors and the things that they are doing wrong from the top, or players that just don't belong on this team. But sometimes, man, some of the idiocy of some of the people in this fan base really tests my patience. My freaking eye has been twitching since the start of this stupid game because of these constant crimes that are being committed by Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr, at best, is a fraud, a charlatan, the worst coach you've ever seen in your life. At worst, this guy needs to be investigated. This guy is a criminal. He has literally compromised every single career on this team. Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Quinton Post, Trayce Jackson-Davis, all the young kids, all the small players, none of them can truly thrive because of this one single individual, Steve Kerr, this evil demon of an individual, a complete and utter narcissist. He acts like a high school coach and he would barely survive as a high school coach. Literally throws out lineups out there that is the equivalent or smaller than high school teams. Since this brain dead team and this coward of an organization from the top, Mike Dunleavy, Joe Lacob, absolute cowards. The assistants are clearly terrified and petrified of challenging Steve Kerr, so they won't do it. The players don't do it. I'm pretty much the only one criticizing Steve Kerr to the max. The media won't do it in fear of their jobs, connections, accessibility, etc. I need some goddamn help here, man. God, universe, higher power, whatever. We need to see Steve Kerr fired from this job, or he magically finds some kind of shame and resigns and get the hell out of here. And don't forget about the millions of fans tuning in, trying to enjoy a game of basketball by Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, the Warriors. And they can't. They're all suffering, trying to watch these games, trying to support their team because of, again, One single individual. Is he working with the NBA? Is he working with Nike? Is he trying to ensure that Steph Curry can only be the worst version of himself by putting him in lineups that are incapable of defending or rebounding? I don't know what the deal is. All I know is that this guy has been ruining the Warriors single-handedly for 4 straight years now. What an absolutely disgusting clown of an individual this is, man. How many times now have the Warriors lost to a team missing a key player? They lost to the Bucks without Giannis. They lost to Ryan Rollins. They lost to the Pacers missing half their roster, and they were 0-5 going into that game at the time. They lost to the Blazers at home playing without Drew Holiday and Shaedon Sharpe. They lost to the Magic, who are playing without Banchero. They lose to the Heat, playing without Hero. They lost to the Kings, playing without Sabonis and Zach LaVine. And now they lose to the Rockets, playing at home without Kevin Durant and Steven Adams. This is vile, completely vile. Given who the Warriors have on their roster, this front office, Steve Kerr, this is the final year of his contract. They need to get him out of here before he completely ruins this season. It doesn't matter who they bring in, he'll find a way to ruin this team. I'm trying to take all the emotions out of this as much as possible. But when you keep watching crimes happen, it's hard to take the emotions out of it. These are crimes being committed. Steph Curry got injured because of Steve Kerr. The Warriors are now 10-10 on the season. If they just win 3 of these games that they should have won, they'd be 13-7. And if they were able to take care of just 4 of these games where these other teams are handicapped and missing key players, the Warriors would be 14-6. Don't you think that that would change the narratives of how people felt about the Warriors and the players on this team? Don't you think that they would be more respectful than being like, oh, they're old, they have a bunch of old guys and this team is useless? Don't you think they would speak higher of the young players on this team if they had a 14-6 record or a 13-7 record instead of a 10-10 record? This is what I mean when I tell you that Steve Kerr's coaching is compromising the reputation of every single player on this team. Not to mention the statistical hit that almost all of the players on this team ends up taking because of the way they're used. Steve Kerr just yanks guys in and out all the time. They can never find a rhythm. And there are so many players on this team putting up irrelevant statistics, which again affects their reputation, their money, their legacy, their livelihood as professional basketball players. These are grown men trying to earn millions of dollars, and Steve Kerr uses them like they are high school players. Oh, you made a play I didn't like? You're gonna go take a seat on the bench, and you're not gonna play for the rest of this game. Unless your name is Buddy Hield, the fakest player I've ever seen, the fakest shooter I've ever seen, the most useless player when the Warriors need him on most nights. And why does he get all the rope in the world, all the playing time in the world? Because Steve Kerr, the charlatan, recruited his sorry ass and probably promised him a bunch of playing time. But anyway, just to quickly go over some general details in that first quarter, the small lineup started off decently, and then Steve Kerr, the clown, put out a 4-guard lineup, and the Rockets gained all the momentum back. And then somehow in the final 3 minutes of the first quarter, I guess he didn't like the limitations of the 4-guard lineup, so then he puts on a lineup with Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and Quinton Post to end the first quarter. And in the final 3 minutes of that first quarter, they only gave up 2 points. And then the second quarter comes, and then Steve Kerr puts out this idiotic lineup. And sorry, I don't have the energy to put in clips in this video, but I'll show you the play-by-play where the Rockets are living inside the paint. Layup after layup after layup. Missed shot? That's okay. Offensive rebound. Layup. And through all this failure to put a team like this away, the Rockets are finding life. Capella is getting whatever he wants underneath the paint. 8 offensive rebounds for that guy. 8 offensive rebounds is roughly what the Warriors should be giving up per game. And then Kerr is using this idiotic lineup, 3-guard lineup, Jimmy Butler at power forward, Draymond at center. And they're trying to close the second quarter like this. It's not working. So then he brings in Quinton Post again. And then they finally grab a rebound and they end that second quarter on a good note. And then for the majority of the third quarter and the fourth quarter, as a matter of fact, the fourth quarter, the entire quarter was small, tiny. 3-guard lineups, 4-guard lineups. Reed Shepherd is starting to find momentum. Is starting to realize the game is getting really easy because no matter how poorly the Rockets are playing, they can always rely on their size to get more rebounds than the Warriors. And now this guy is absolutely going off. Nobody can contain him. 31 points on 12 of 25 shooting. And this guy, who is like 6'3", also grabbed 9 rebounds against the tiny-ass Warriors. So in the second half, the Rockets end up scoring 57 points, and the Warriors end up scoring 41 points in the second half. The small lineups can't score. They can't rebound, they can't defend, and they can't score. Why are you going small and why are you staying small? Because Steve Kerr is a piece of shit. That's why. At the same time, this NBA Cup thing, the refs are screwing the Warriors, jobbing the Warriors, to calling every touch foul against the Warriors, while they allow the Rockets to do whatever it is that they want to do. Rough and tumble, go crazy on the Warriors, it doesn't matter. Steph Curry gets knocked to the ground, and then he gets called for the defensive foul. So many blatantly horrible calls against the Warriors in the second half of this game. And that's a lot to overcome, but it would be overcome if, again, the Warriors didn't have to also overcome Steve Kerr at the same time. But yeah, from the third quarter into the fourth quarter, the Rockets are on a 19-4 run against the Warriors. They have captured all the momentum in the world. GP2 ended up getting injured in this game, so Santos got some minutes in that third quarter, and unfortunately, it didn't look good for him. Like I said in the previous video, Guy Santos is a Steph Curry player, and Steph Curry exclusive player in my opinion. Especially the way he started off this season, he is struggling. He's playing scared, and he's playing unsure of himself, like so many other players that come off the Warriors bench. And for some reason, Steve Kerr all of a sudden decided to close the third quarter with him, despite the fact that they couldn't score with him on the floor as the middle man. God knows why Draymond Green sat the final 5 minutes or so of that third quarter. Oh, I know why. It's because Steve Kerr decided to go all in on his small lineup and have Draymond play the entire fourth quarter as a center of that team. Good job. Even though you held the Rockets to absolutely terrible shooting, you still allowed 30 points to that team because they're still getting all the offensive rebounds in the world, all the putbacks in the world, all the points in the paint in the world. We should be celebrating the greatness of so many players on this team. Instead, all we can do is criticize these players because they're put in suboptimal positions where they cannot really truly succeed. And they look bad, and if they're bad, they look even worse under Steve Kerr. I'm so freaking sick and tired of this, man. I apologize for the negativity of this video, but this rant had to be done. Somebody had to do it. Somebody had to go off on this absolute and utter clown criminal of an individual. Look, the Warriors are going to get the next 2 days off. Let's again pray that Steph Curry doesn't have a serious injury here. And otherwise, please enjoy your time off. What an utter shame that I had to make a video like this on Thanksgiving Day, where I should be grateful, giving gratitude for all the great things that is within this team, but I can't appreciate it because Steve Kerr absolutely makes sure that his team is always compromised. But again, other than that, please be sure to be grateful for all the things that are in your life. The well-being of yourself, your family, all the loved ones that you have. Outside of this team, life is a wonderful thing. I am grateful for great health. I am grateful for my angelic son. I am grateful for my beautiful wife. I am grateful for my family. I am grateful for the health and well-being of all my loved ones. I am grateful for this channel. I am grateful for all of you guys watching, supporting, being able to do all this with your support. It means a lot. Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your loved ones, and I'll see you soon enough.